Okay, thank you again. I want to open with congratulating the delegates who were chosen to represent our district in the Democratic National Convention, which will occur in Chicago in August. Club members Jeff Nybert and Richard Adler, both have been selected. And club friend Jan Park, who is my friend who ran with me for Central Committee, also was selected. And congratulations to everybody that was selected. I will post a link to the entire everybody that was selected for the entire state is now posted online. I will share that with club members. I also wanted to open up with a quick introduction. Charlie Jones, who will be running for school board, and he has a kickoff starting. Do you want to come up and introduce yourself briefly? We won't be doing the endorsement tonight, but I will give you a few minutes to introduce yourself, and then we'll invite you back for the full endorsement.
Appreciate that. So hello, my name is Charlie Jones. I'm a proud resident of Pleasanton. I grew up in the school district system. I started at LaSalle, went through Vintage Hills, went to Pleasanton Middle School where I started doing like full-time the music program there. And then I was in the Amador Valley Marching Band for all 4 years. Before I also went to Las Positas because while my family was having medical issues, that was a lot easier for them and it was a phenomenal school. And from there, I graduated from Arizona State with a bachelor's degree in history, secondary education. And I've now been a teacher for 7 years out at high school in Tennyson, out in Hayward. I love what I do. It is phenomenal. I'm a social studies teacher of 7 years, department chair. And the reason why I'm running is because the Pleasanton school system is what built me to who I am today. The teachers there are why I became teachers, and it's the community that I want to give back to and serve. Because after 5 years of deficit spending, we're cutting programs that helped me. It was the counselors who, when my friends passed away in high school, they were the ones that caught that I was slipping through the cracks and pulling back. And they're the ones that are now seeing their jobs being cut because we have a budget that's supposed to represent what we believe, but it's not currently doing so. I want to make sure that we keep having the high quality schools that got me the marching band to go to Europe twice, that allowed me to get into highly competitive schools and got my friends the ability to go into vocational and trade schools that they otherwise might not have been able to do so. And I also want to bring back the trust within our district that will actually be community partners, that we don't just say that we do community outreach, that we actually reach out to our parents, our stakeholders, the people who should be involved in these decisions that have been left out for so long. Not just creating a committee on a budget and appointing friends, but actually putting it out to the community so that everybody can apply for something like that. So we're hearing different values and opinions, not just the ones that we're used to. I want to make sure that when people have a problem, they can reach out and talk to me no matter who they are, because our district is made up of everyone. And when we don't feel like we belong, that's when people slip through the cracks. I came out during high school. It was my teachers who kept me safe and made me know that I belonged in Pleasanton and in this district. And that when Pleasanton says it's a community that cares, they're serious about it. So I want to strengthen that. I want to see our district continue to be successful and competitive for our students to apply in this tough economy. And I want to make sure that our community is actually able to engage and be a part of this. So again, my name is Charlie Jones. I'm running for Pleasanton School Board in District 4. I would love for you to work with me, to partner with me, to be a member on my team. And I look forward to earning your endorsement. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Sure. You mentioned in District 4, so school, forgive me for my school district is also, school board is also the district.
Yes.
Is it the same as the city council districts?
Not quite. So for example, District 4, which is, they're weirdly shaped. So it's like First Street, then you go towards Livermore and you loop around to like Moore. That district overlaps with the city council District 5.
Okay.
So they're a little wonky.
Because I'm in District 4 for city council, which is one.
So part of it might overlap. What's nice is the school board actually does have the maps on there. If you want to go, you can see.
I'll go.
And then you can type in your address and it'll take you to it. But yeah, my website is charlieforschoolboard.com. In case you're interested, you can also find me on Instagram or Facebook for Charlie Jones for Pleasanton School Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we look forward. We look forward to putting that on a vote for endorsement. And by the way, our local endorsements, we do have several club members that are running for office. And so next month, as well as July, we can do all of our local endorsements before the Central Committee starts their interviews. And I think they're doing theirs in August or something. So it'd be really nice to get our endorsements out there ahead of time. So if club members, if you're out there, I know some of you are running for office. As soon as you let me submit your stuff to the club, I will send out the information. And then next month and in June and July, we can do all of our local endorsements. Next up on the agenda is follow-up on resolutions that were brought before this club last month. One of the bills, AB 1999, did not get endorsed. We got very close, but at the last minute, there was some additional feedback and we did not end up endorsing 1999, but we did endorse AB 2054. Since our meeting, there has been a lot of work on AB 1999. And there was a push to, I believe, lower that flat rate or the beginning rate. So there has been changes. Potentially this may come before the club in the future once we have all the details of what's behind it, what they've modified and how it's been changed. But I will go ahead and post in the chat a link to the legislation with the latest text for your review in case we want to bring this forward down the road. Yes, Alice.
Earlier, well, last week, we happened to be in a meeting with Senator Glazer. I believe it was Wednesday, and he said that Thursday was basically the drop dead date for all of the bills to either pass or be tabled for the following year. So what I'm telling you is for these bills that we're considering, cows out of the barn already. It'll either wind up on the governor's desk or not. But as far as affecting the assembly or the Senate votes, that's water under the bridge. It's gone.
Did Kyoko join?
Not yet.
Not yet, because I know she was a part of some of the groups. I believe Live and We're Indivisible was one of them. A lot of members called in and spoke on behalf of that legislation. And I believe it's been modified. I don't believe it's dead, but we'll find out more information. I was hoping Kyoko would be here to touch base on that.
Yeah, I can't comment on whether or not that particular bill made it through.
Okay, well, right now it was the co-authors revised it May 16th. It was, I believe, assembly do not pass as amended. There were 2 yes votes, 0 no votes, but 13 abstentions, which isn't very.
That was the drop dead date.
Okay, the 16th. Yeah, so a lot of people didn't vote on it at all, which is a little frustrating. And then the other bill that was up for consideration, and we did pass this last month, but it was follow-up action item to rewrite the resolution so that it only was addressing AB 2054. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Ellis for a minute, and I'll bring up that resolution that was modified.
You can bring it up on the screen.
Yeah, I could bring it up on the screen. So let me bring that up.
Well, this second resolution, 2054, was basically to govern people eligible to be appointed to the California PUC and the California Energy Commission. And what it said, in fact, it might even cover other regulated regulatory bodies, but basically it said you can't work for a regulated company 3 years before appointment to the California PUC and California Energy Commission, and you can't go to work for them 3 years after, or I should say until 3 years after you've left the California PUC. So what this does is it pretty much breaks the revolving door, because people aren't going to wait 3 years. Initially, the bill was 10 years after and 0 years before, but I understand it was modified to 3 and 3. And that's basically what the new resolution said. As Jackie said, we voted on it last month and it just needed some rewording, and the rewording is up there. And I can't read it at the same. Okay. Basically talks about the bills being very high, and that the commissioners are appointed by the governor. And right now the deal is every 2 years. And as I said, this would move it to 3 years after and 3 years before appointment. And, as I pointed out earlier, I don't know if it made it through the May 16th date in the legislature. So that is the resolution.
I would like to move that we do endorse this resolution as written, as we already said we endorse this bill. So if I move that we endorse this resolution now as modified and written. Is there a second?
Oh, Mary's gonna second it, okay.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. And the ayes have it.
Okay. Becky and Mary. Okay, that'll be in the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, we do have our guest speakers here. Do we have the file that you want me to share? Okay, let me make sure, I'll get that up on the screen. Let me just make one brief announcement first. Just a reminder, we do have the Tri-Valley Democratic Club club rep vacancy. There's one seat for the remainder of 2024. So if somebody really wants to go and learn about what the Central Committee does and listen to how that process works, they can represent our club, bring back the information to the club. So this seat is open through the end of 2024. So just a few months. So if anybody's interested in that, send me an email. And you can send it to tvdimsmedia@gmail.com, or you could send it to me, rankeljackie@gmail.com, ranklJackie@gmail.com. Another announcement is the AC-DIMS training will be if you are running for office and you have never run for office, I highly recommend this training. It's $50. It includes a light breakfast. It's an all-day event, and it is on June 8th, and it's at the La Luna Laborers Local 304. And that information was in the email that we sent out already. And I'll send out another reminder out to all club members. So if you are running for office, take a look at that, that training. It's highly recommended. People send folks from outside of Alameda County to Alameda County for this training. So I'd highly suggest it if you're running for office. And now let me just get up a file here and we're going to turn it over to our special guest speakers. This one. Yeah, I'll try for you. And I just want to introduce Dawn Benson. We endorsed her when she was running for water board. And Ellis ran into Dawn and you guys started talking about Water Month, Water Awareness Month.
Yes.
And it's getting hot. We're all turning on our sprinklers again. So the Honorable Dawn Benson is here to tell us about Water Awareness Month and what all we should be doing and what we need to know. And she brought goodies for us.
Yes,
So
I
thank
did.
you so much.
Thank you so much for having me this evening. I'd like to also acknowledge our general managers here, Valerie Pryor, and our outreach, community affairs outreach person is Alexandra Bradley. So we've assembled a few kits for you folks to take home. So like it is Water Awareness Month. And so what is Water Awareness Month and who is Zone 7? So that's kind of what I want to ask a little bit about what you guys are doing today, is because who lives in Dublin? Okay. Who lives in Pleasanton? Who lives in Danville? Who lives in Livermore? Okay, cool. So I don't know. I just want to make sure Danville is served by East Bay Mud. Pleasanton is served by City of Pleasanton. Livermore is served by City of Livermore or Calwater. And then Dublin is served by DSRSD. So the mystery of what Zone 7 is Zone 7 is the wholesaler. So we wholesale water to our, I've got water right here. We wholesale water. So I apologize for my voice this evening. So anyway, so Zone 7's role is the wholesaler. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. Our partners obviously are with the Tri-Valley Water Partners, and that's all who we've talked about tonight. In addition to East Bay Mud, we partner, DSRSD does some partnering on recycled water with East Bay Mud. So next. So I'm going to give you a little intro on the partnerships that we have with our retailers. Also an overview of our reliability of water. And also the challenges to our systems and also potential solutions and projects that are going on in key findings. So key findings and next steps. That said, we'll start with our partners. So next slide. These are our partners, DSRC, which is Dublin, Livermore, and Calwater, which is all out in Livermore. Then there's the City of Pleasanton. And then Zone 7, like I said, we're the umbrella. So we're the ones that have the state water contract. So our state water contract, we're in charge of the water supply for the valley. And we service our customers are these 4 agencies right here. In addition to, we also serve raw water to the folks out in the vineyards. So that's another thing. We provide them with raw water. And so we're responsible for treating all the water that goes into and onto the retailers. And so our treatment, we have treatment plants that takes the raw water that comes in off the aqueduct. Also, we do have some groundwater, and we also have some surface water. So with those, and then, so those are all blended together. And then we send the regular water or the treated water out to the treatment plants, and they go ahead and service the folks, these agencies. Next slide. So Zone 7. Zone 7 is an agency that was established in the 50s, and it was related to basically having the connection on the state water project. And then our goal was to do reliable water supply. We have safe water. We have groundwater. Does anybody know what groundwater is? Have you ever heard of groundwater?
Like from an aquifer? Wells.
Wells. And also, yeah, we actually have an aquifer with water. There's also, do you guys realize we have 37 miles of flood protection? Did anybody?
That's it.
So just a little fun, well, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but in 2023, we had $41 million in damages to our flood channel. So that's something that our agency pays for, and we're working with FEMA and all that. We also have our effective operations. So I have to say we are a lean, mean, awesome machine because we have a small staff of about 115 people. And we effectively managing the groundwater, the water supply, the flood channels. And we have the treatment plants that we do. We also have stakeholder engagement. So we're always in partnership and talking with our stakeholders to make sure that their needs are met. And then we also have fiscal responsibility. So not only, we are one agency that basically used to pay as they go for projects. And so instead of taking out bonds and all this other stuff, we used to, for our infrastructure projects, we actually went ahead and used to fund our own. So we have a pretty robust capital infrastructure projects. However, it's only been recently that we've decided to do a little bond. So our most recent bond was building our second PFAS facility, which you guys have heard about PFAS, the infamous unbiodegradable stuff that somehow our agencies get to deal with because it's in the groundwater and it's in some of our wells. And over the last several years, EPA has been going back and forth, the state's going back and forth, like what's the right, what's the kind of parts per trillion that we can effectively, say that we need to treat to. Recently, the EPA said 4 parts per trillion for 2 types of PFAS. And then a couple of others, PFAS is 10 per trillion, 10 parts per trillion. So that's where we are right now. The good thing is, with the foresight of our team and our staff and the board, we built one PFAS facility in our Pleasanton facility. We finished that and it went live last September 2023. Our second PFAS, which is another state of the art at our chain of lakes, that is going to be up and running in the fall of 2024. Now, our third one is our Mocho. And so Mocho is the one we needed. So that's our third PFAS. So we are effectively ahead of the game on the PFAS in Northern California. So with that vision, I'm really happy. I'm really, really, really proud of what we've done to make those facilities in play. But we are also, anybody know about California Special Districts? So California Special Districts are a state organization where we are part of, in addition to being, so we are able to, we're a dependent special district. So we depend on Alameda County. So that's the nexus with us. So Alameda County is our umbrella, but our whole agency is a dependent agency under Alameda County. DSRC and some other folks, they are independent special districts. So they function on their own. And Zone 7 is one of the 10 zones within the district. So what do? Well, we wholesale potable treated water to the cities, as I said, mentioned earlier. We do untreated to 3,500 acres of primarily grapes. We have a groundwater basin management. A few years ago, the groundwater basins were having some trouble. And so the state decided that it was time to make folks accountable for their water basins. So that's what we've done right now. It's GSA. So we're a groundwater sustainable agency for the Livermore groundwater basin. And it's because of our success of managing that groundwater basin is why we were selected for that. There's also flood protection to the eastern county, Alameda County. So for example, I have a flood control basin behind me. So it's kind of nice because I have lots of cute little creatures, little dogs. And it's really kind of sweet and cake. But we're 420 square miles of eastern Alameda County. And we have a broad power to finance, construct and operate systems for the storage, transportation and storage, treatment and distribution of water. We are off the South Bay Aqueduct, which is off the state water project. So that is where most of our water comes, 70% of our water comes from there. However, over the last few years with the drought, our allocations get lower. Therefore, that's when conservation becomes a real big kicker, because you have to conserve. We only have a limited supply of water. And with the climate changing and with all the other acclimation, the rain, the atmospheric rivers. Does anybody know what an atmospheric river is? Sure. Yeah. So that's just ridiculous.
Well, we just experienced this.
Yeah, the deluge. But anyway, so, and next slide. So this is how we relate to our partners. So we have this right here is DSRC, City of Pleasanton, Cal Water, and City of Livermore. Our South Bay pumping plant pumps and Bake's pumping plant pumps water down into the aqueduct, this South Bay aqueduct, which is where we pull our water from. And then also, we don't get water from Lake. Do we get water from Lake Del Valle once in a while? Yeah, a little bit. But also off the South Bay aqueduct out in Livermore is where we pull the raw water. And then the rest of the water, Valley Water is another piece, and so is Alameda County Water District. So they're also feed in, this pipe also feeds into them. Next slide. So where do we get our water? If we, does anybody know where we get? Okay. So first of all, we get it with Sierra. It starts out Sierra Nevada snow melt. However, it travels through the Delta. It travels down to the Delta. And as we know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Delta right now. It's salt intrusion, there's the levees, there's a whole sort, the Delta smelt, we have the steelhead, salmon. And so this water comes down and goes into the South. And then it goes through. We pull it off at Patterson Pass. So we have a brand new treatment plant called Patterson Pass, and it has ozone. It's state-of-the-art ozone treating. So it treats our groundwater in addition to our water coming off the aqueduct. So 90%, 70% of the total water supply is through the aqueduct. Then we have the wells. We have a couple wells that we're reusing. And then we also have a treatment plant over in Del Valle, and we have a lab. And we also use a little bit of recycled water. So I'm sure folks are excited about recycled water. Has anybody drank it? Anybody drank it? I have. And I drank it back in 2000. I drank the water back in 1999.
My husband has the
I'm still
PH does their own
water purification. They do that out at the VA.
Yeah.
Drink it.
So anyway, that's a partnership that DSRSD has with East Bay Mud and also Pleasanton. So that's all around the wastewater. Yes,
I'm a little confused about the box on the upper right. It says state water project supplies 90% of Zone 7's water, but 70% of the total Tri-Valley supply. Why is there a difference between them?
when, Alexander.
So some seven supplies 80% of the supplies to the valley. And then 10% retailers, some of them have groundwater, so they can put their own, we don't count that. And then recycled water, which is the water that DSRSD or Livermore treating, and then that's recycled water for irrigation, so that's 20%. So this, yeah, and you've got basically two pies that we're kind of talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, I, like I
So
said,
you're wondering if we just.
the way it was written out.
Yeah.
This is clear as mud, isn't it? Yeah, welcome to our.
Clear as mud.
And so we have the we have a groundwater demineralization plant. So that demin facility has been really helpful in kind of cleaning up our water is absolutely the best. And we have the highest standards we test for water. But sometimes people have a little different taste. And sometimes that's blended with the water coming out of the wells. So that's where sometimes you get a little bit of like, yeah. And then those people who are nice enough to live in Danville, they have East Bay Mud water. And so also anybody here know about Doherty Valley? So Doherty Valley is actually Zone 7 water. So that was brought into us in the a settlement agreement between East Bay Mud and the developers many years ago, back in 2000, 1999 to 2000. So DSRSD provides water to Doherty Valley. And we were able to capture another water right, like one of the long, a water right that wasn't being used on the coast and transfer it to Zone 7. So that's why we still do have a little bit of sand removal. Then we also have the Livermore groundwater basin, and the groundwater is 10%, recycled water is 10%, and then there's local runoff of 10%. So during the summer, recycled water is the rock star because it takes care of a lot of the parks, soccer fields, golf courses, all that. And in Dublin uses 70% of recycled water during the summer. So they are all recycled water.
Is that just for outside water or?
Yes, non-potable. Yeah, but when I started, I worked at DSRSD briefly, and I sat on the board. And at one point, there was they dual plumbed everything in the eastern Dublin. So when they were laying all the pipe, they actually laid two types of pipe, purple pipe and regular pipe, just to expand the recycled water, which the prison's on, and it was the federal corrections facility. But a lot of the county buildings are now all recycled water. So they're able to do their medians and do some of their. Then there's and our goal is to only pump previously stored imported water from the groundwater basin. And then the key takeaway from here is that without the state water supply, Tri-Valley would be left with pretty much just our local rainfall and then our recycled water runoff to recharge our groundwater basins. So any questions?
I guess I have a question. During droughts, conserved water, does that reduce your amount of recycled water that's available?
Good question. Sometimes it does. During droughts, we're also allocated. So on the state water project, we get our allocations will shrunk as well. So as long as there's water going through the recycled water was huge during the drought of 2014 to 2016. It really saved us because we were able to use all that recycled water for medians and such. As we go forward, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be. It just depends on how much water we have.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go a little bit about what's going on in the future for water supply to make sure that we do have safe water supply for the valley here. Okay. Okay, next one. So groundwater sustainability, GSA. So in 2014 is when the edict came down from DWR. DWR, right? DWR. The Groundwater Management Act. And that was related to the fact that there was so much things happening to the wells and to the basins that they needed to start not monitoring. So Zone 7 was named this GSA for the Tri-Valley, as I mentioned, because of how we managed our groundwater basin. And the basin is important because it helps us weather short-term droughts. So we're able to bank water. So in here, if you see here, Zone 7, we were able to keep our water going during the drought. And we kind of watch after and make sure we have enough supply. But we test the water. Let's see. We test the water and we make sure that it's safe. And if we need to bank water, what we did in the last drought was we actually went out and bought water. So you can actually go out and buy water. We bought water from the Mojave Desert, didn't we? So I know it sounds weird. It's like, how does that happen? So there's these whole agreements that happen. And there's a ground banking facility down in south of Bakersfield, south of President. And it's called Kern County Water Bank. And they actually take water when somebody can't use that water. They sell like the rice farmers were selling water during the last drought, and they were making more money on selling water than they were doing rice. Well, it's the same thing. We were able to sell some, buy some water, and it was really, expensive. But everybody was buying up any kind of, anybody had any extra. It was like gold. Water was gold back. So anyway, but we were able to bank it. We were able to bring some into our aquifers and store it in our local groundwater. And that's called recharge. Okay, next. So this is how the water is recharged. So this is where the water goes in. And it's kind of. So here's where it comes in and it goes into these wells and it gets stored down here in these basins. And so the basin that we have here in Tri-Valley is pretty healthy. We do have a few spots where we have like the PFAS plume, but those are isolated. And for the most part, we have a really good structure under here for banking water. And then we also can transfer water. So the transfer and banking. So if for say somebody needs water, if we want water to go down to the bank, they take it out of the aqueduct and then we pay for it. And so that's kind of, it's like, it's our bank account. And when we need it, we can trade it. Next slide. Overview of the water demands and reliability. Slide. So this is where it gets interesting. And as we all know, the governor is like, build, we want to make sure everybody builds. But we also have to take in consideration water plan. So just how much water do we need in the future? And the conservation that you all do is contributes to the amount of water that we actually use and how much we can live on as we expand our population. And it's estimated that 10,000 people will be added to the valley by 2040. And there's modeling that goes on to figure out how this all works. So cities determine the base of the levels of growth based on economic trends and regulations. And then there's also, we have to make sure that there's enough to meet the agriculture. Because agriculture is still a very important economic value in this valley. So right here, we have about 250,000 in 2020. And we estimate to be up near 300,000 in 20. So where do we get the delta? Where do we get the, where do we save water? How do we get more? Next slide. So this is the reliability. If you can see our state water, current state water allocation, are we at 45%? 40, still 40. So that means we only get 40% of what out of 100%. So we don't get all the 100%. If we did, we could ground bank it, we could do all sorts of stuff. But the state water project is so short on water that we can only get 40%. So then we enhance it with the 30% we have in our groundwater basin already. And so as you can see here, this is the way, if you look at 2014, 2016, we had like almost 0%. And then also again in 2022. And then this year, this 23 was the biggest year we've had.
That's very good.
And the weird thing is that because we did not have enough storage, and I think you guys have all heard of that drastic, that project called the Delta conveyance. And also you have the Los Vaqueros. Is anybody familiar with the Los Vaqueros project? That's an expansion project. Contra Costa water districts do. So they're actually adding more storage to Los Vaqueros. But then we also have the Delta conveyance. And then we also have Sites Reservoir, which sites right now, the governor came and spoke to us at Aqua a couple weeks ago. And they have fast-tracked sites. And we're really lucky because Valerie, our GM, is on the committee at Sites Reservoir. She's our champion for sites. And it is a wonderful project. It has very little lawsuits, and it's just a very well-structured storage. And I will get into that in a minute. Okay, slide. So stay tuned. One more. So this is the challenges that we deal with as an agency. And the engineers and operations and Valerie and her team are always weighing, between finance, what's best for us. We have climate change, that's the atmospheric rivers, the contamination. So now we have to deal with PFAS. And I'm always like, why do we have to deal with this? It should be, why are we having to pay for it? But it affects our drinking water. And it's important that we make sure that you guys have safe supply. Then our aging infrastructure. As we all know, that's been a big deal in the United States. Infrastructure, aging infrastructure. We've had these pipes and we've had all these plants. We've upgraded some. So I think our agency's doing really well. So we're really lucky. But the infrastructure needs repairing. And today's repair rates are like 4 or 5 times the amount of what it costs to make it. Then there's earthquakes. Of course, we still have, earthquake fault. Then the droughts, and then the delta risk. So the delta risk still has all the intrusion, and it has, how do we get the delta healthy? So all of these help to reduce our water supply and our balance of our team. Our team makes sure that we are in good position to make sure we have a good water supply. Going forward for our retailers and for all our customers. Recently, we, this plant that we just, the PFAS plant that's going online at Chain of Lakes, we just got a AAA rating. Hardly anybody gets a AAA rating these days in bonds. We got a AAA rating for $30 million. Now for $24 million, we built this plant. So yes, it's a little bit now, it's not a huge amount, but it's enough that now we have a good, cushion for this PFAS that's coming down the line. That we have to treat based on the EPA, based on the state requirements. So that's one of the things that we've had that has been good. I mean, we're very frugal in many ways, but we're also very, we're solid in the decisions we make to make the best water supply available to our people. So, good news. The good news is, next slide. Water reliability is here to stay. And that is what Zone 7 does. We work with our partners, our Tri-Valley partners, to ensure that we at least have options. And so the Delta Conveyance, which has now gone through their EIR, we were just briefed last week, 2 weeks ago at Aqua, which is the Association of California Water Agencies. And I personally went on the Delta Conveyance tour because I've been in water for almost over 30 years. And then I came from San Diego. And San Diego was like, Southern California was like, oh yeah, the Delta, we want the double, we want the water. And I've watched this whole thing go around and around, and this way, that way. And I have to say, I drank the water from the tour because the solution that they've come up with is one tunnel. And one tunnel that diverts off up at the Twin Cities, which is the top of Sacramento. And it goes down, it parallels I-5. Then it comes down into the Bethany South Bay Aqueduct. And it's tunneled, it's going to be tunneled 150 feet down. And it's going to be tunneled down I-5. Originally, it was supposed to be 2 twin tunnels underneath the Delta. So now they've diverted this and done one tunnel. It's more efficient. It's cheaper. Well, cheaper is relative. But it also gives us a lot better option to bring water down more effectively. And it won't be so. Right now, the price just came out again at $2023 of $20 billion. So we all pay for it. Water is not cheap. And water is cheap, but the infrastructure to move the water. Because you have to move that down and down the aqueduct, up the aqueduct. But this particular plan makes it more efficient. We have, I was really impressed by some of the machines that they're bringing in. They're going to actually do a tunnel machine. They're doing 2 major tunnel places to bores, bores, but no boring holes. And then it's like 45 miles. And they're going to be able to pour concrete. They're going to be able to do it all the way down. They're going to be state-of-the-art boring machines that are from Europe are going to be and used.
I have a question. Has that been finalized and approved? 'Cause, we've been talking about this for years.
I know.
And I guess I haven't quite kept up on exactly where we are in this.
Well, it went through the EIR.
Which one?
It went through the EIR. So it is the only option right now that they've come to terms with. And so the governor's like, go for it.
Mm.
And so all these years we talked about it and, but now this plan is more efficient. They have a good team and part of it. And it's going to give us some good solid water to bring down into our agency. And it will be much better. It'll be not so saltwater intrusion.
My understanding is Sierra Club and a lot of other environmental groups are still against. Because they're concerned about it taking too much water out of the Delta. So what's your answer to that?
Well, I think we're in a stage of our California history. Is that it's we, not me. So there's lawsuits filed, but I think some of the lawsuits are not as bad as they were in the past. And so I think they work tirelessly, the teams, to make sure that the environmental are happy with the solution. And I don't think it takes that. I don't think it's as bad as it once was.
Right, I mean, the project is, for an extensive stakeholder engagement process and conceptual design and stuff as much as possible to minimize construction impacts, facility construction impacts. Also to be, fish friendly, habitat friendly, but the idea behind this project is in the really wet winter storms like we had this year and certainly had a lot last year, to build water under the delta that is not being found. So lots of times when winter storms are happening, there are feed restrictions in the delta to protect fish, protect turbidity. So, like, this particular year, even though it's not the wettest year, there were lots of wet storms, right? And there were times when the water was flowing out through the delta and out to sea at 100,000 CFS, cubic feet per second. And the state project and the Central Valley project, the federal project together, were reduced to 2,000 and even up down to 500 CFS. So there was a lot of water available that was lost. Right, water quality didn't need it, water quality needs are met, turbidity needs met. So the idea is, just to take the wetland start. And, this idea that it can take more water, won't stay. It can take more water, right? Like if state water project wasn't operating to fish restrictions or water quality restrictions in Delta, it's could have been going full bore, but they operate to the permits. The permits are designed for water quality, habitat, and fish.
Well, this one sounds like a better one than the Twin Tunnels. I had was talking to one of the zone 7 director candidates, and they said, well, they thought the environmental groups just didn't trust the state. It's a lot of it more than the actual issues. Correct. Yeah.
And I think as Valerie mentioned, there's so much outreach that they've done on this particular project that I think, and they were sensitive to their thoughts and their concerns, and they got addressed. And then there's, it's been a really good, I have to say, and if you guys ever want to go on a tour, I think it's worthwhile just to check out the water situation in California. It's fascinating. So anyway, so we have potable reuse, and then we also have sites. Potable reuse is something that the governor said it's fine, but we haven't finalized. We don't have the infrastructure for that. But we have sites reservoir, we have recycled water, and then a regional desalination is some of the discussions are happening right now up in the Delta. And then also the water transfers and exchanges, which I talked a little bit about earlier. So, it's like, if you have this, we have that. It's amazing. It's amazing how water is, we have the urban versus rural. We have the farmers versus the all the electeds. So anyway, but there is no right answer. It's a combination. This is a combination of stuff that's going to be utilized going forward in the state to make sure we have water. Now, next slide. This is one of my favorite slides.
Can I go too far?
No, that's right. This is the tunnel. So this is the two intakes are the north part of the delta. So then we have one below. These are the turnips, is where they're going to do the boring. And then they'll bore all the way down. And the cool thing is they're going to create jobs for people in those communities. So not only is it just water, but we're going to create jobs. We're going to create skill sets, people that are going to be able to use these going forward. There's, and then there's a 10-inch thickness on the tunnel. It's 36 feet. And they're going to bore all the way down into here. So originally it was right down in here. So, and we also have these amazing fish screens. And these fish screens, I actually got to go visit the fish screening manufacturer. And the way that these fish screens work within the structure of the pumping plants is they gently move the fish away. So it's not as harsh, it's not, I mean, there's so much thought that has gone into this. And, you know, the basic thing is, it's, and also there's subsidence. Does anybody know about subsidence?
Yeah.
So on my tour in the Central Valley, we actually got to see 15 feet of where they're building a new turnout up in, near Kauai, up near Chicago. And the turnout that's currently there is 15 feet lower than what they've built because things are sinking. So it's crazy, but this will also improve, it'll help with the endangered species and it will create more life. So next, this is my favorite. Okay. This is what we missed. Almost 1 million acre feet we lost this year because we had no place to store it. So that means that over 909,000 acre feet services over 9.5 million people for 1 year. It also, and it's enough water supply for 3.1 million households per year. So that's the benefit of these storage projects. And so we could, in January, we could have done 228,000 and then 236. So we're building this infrastructure to save our water for the future. So we can capture these atmospheric rivers and these snowpacks that are not as dense as they used to be. Okay, next. This is Los Vaqueros. So like I said, this is in Contra Costa County. They're expanding it to 275,000 acre feet. We plan to, we're looking at being part of this. This is one of the options. And we would like to have up to 10,000 acre feet. So that's one option. So Zone 7 has to pay for. So this is these transfers and these reservoir expansions are partnerships. So it depends on how many people are involved. How many agencies are involved. That's how they split up the cost. And this is local to us, and we have an intertie that would be an intertie directly into our. So that is a really good solution for us for emergency storage. Okay, next. Then we have the potable reuse, like I said earlier. This is, I know everybody hates this. No,
They stopped
no,
it.
no, well,
You
guys
guys, DSRC was going to put it on. I went over and tested the water. I mean, it was year, I don't know how many years ago.
I tried it.
And I did too. And,
19,
you know, some people came out and said, oh, it's toilet to tap, scared everybody. And they voted it out.
I know. I really, I was
Yeah.
right in the middle of it. But you know, it's coming. But if you look at folks in the Middle East, if you look in Australia, you look at many different places all around, they're using this. So the technology is there.
Has there ever been any look at how to tie in the storm drains and recollect what goes right down the storm drains out to the bay? Seems like it, you know, when it's raining, you just watch all this water running down the street. We don't capture that.
A good question. I know that we have Logman. So Logman treats the water. So
Yeah, stormwater capture,
we capture some of it.
yeah. What falls like in the roads and drains in Lake Del Valle, we do use that, but yeah, what's running on the streets, that is not captured. That would require an extensive capture system and treatment. So it's really not. But what's falling, the barrier ground is getting into our groundwater base.
This looks like an opportunity down the road if we ever get really desperate. It's just something that's always bothered me, just runs right down in.
But also it gets mixed with, you know, like the treatment part of it, because it, you know, you have, you have tires and
Yeah, right.
you have all the.
Cigarette butts.
Cigarette butts, all that. But it's good, you know, these are the things that we ask our kids, the science kids, you know, come on up. You know, we encourage them to think outside the box, come up with something. So then this is Sites Reservoir. Sites Reservoir is probably the best, and it's the farm fast track according to the doc. So most of they have all the permit, they're in the permitting process right now. This is Valerie's baby.
Right, yeah, so,
Do you mind if you come up closer to this camera, because this is where the mic's coming from? I've been fearing that I can't see the comments if people have heard you.
okay,
So the sound is coming right off that iPhone.
okay. Yeah, so the Sites Reservoir, the EIR is done. It is in the permitting process. It's submitted a petition for a new water right, and that is going through that process, and they should have that by early 2025. So that's the last permit.
Yeah. And the governors we have many infrastructure projects, both at the federal and the state level. So a lot of funds that we're getting for these big projects are coming from the government, the feds too. Feds and state have been allocated because they know it's important.
Where is this reservoir gonna be? Where is Sites Reservoir?
It's in Maxwell, which is a town of 400. It's about an hour north of Sacramento. It's a 2-hour drive from here. And it's an off-stream reservoir, so it's not damming a river. So it's taking high flows, those winter storms off the Sacramento River, and you know, not damming a river, not stopping fish, and then moving it to a different location.
Yes, it's an amazing. This is my favorite. Anyway, next one. We have the regional desal, the Tri-Valley Contra Costa. They're looking at exploring some desalinization, especially as the water intrudes, I believe, in the delta.
Where is that?
That is up in eastern part of Contra Costa,
So
up in this area.
It's
Where Oakley or?
it's near Antioch. I think it's a little bit west of Antioch. So there is a Contra Costa Water District facility on the delta that's not being used. So the concept is that could be used for brackish desal, and then the
So it's right on the water between Antioch and Pittsburgh?
somewhere around there.
Okay.
Desalinization it's expensive.
That was what I was saying.
It's really
It's expensive and uses a lot of power.
Yeah, but
How does it compare to like other options that you would have in cost?
For zone 7, it's about the same cost. So because it's brackish desal, it uses less energy to get the salt out than the ocean. But because it's far away from here, it takes more energy to pump it here. So it winds up being a similar cost. And that project, it's really, I'd say it's in the talking about phase. So because it would rely on the Los Vaqueros Reservoir expansion and transfer Bethany pipeline. So until those projects are online, this one's really in the early talks.
now there's a huge successful desal plant down in San Diego.
Yeah.
In Carlsbad. So if you ever down that way, check it out. It's pretty good. Okay, next. Then we have the water transfers. And so the transfer of what, you know, the buying and selling exchanges. We sold some water too, didn't we?
Yes.
We sold, who did we sell to? I can't remember.
It's called the West Side Water Districts. They're agriculture districts down by Bakersfield. So just last year we had a lot, we had 100% allocation. We couldn't use it all, we couldn't store it all, so we sold some. Not for a lot of money, but we were not, we weren't going to be, we were just going to leave it on the table, so at least we got some revenue out of it.
Yeah, so, you know, it all works out and they need it.
Dawn, I have a
Yes.
question. On the previous one, the desalinization plant. A few months ago, we had a speaker in here from AC Transit.
Okay,
And we were talking about buses running on electric buses. Okay, and apparently the method that they used was they might have solar panels providing electricity, but then they were using electrolysis to take distilled water and get the hydrogen out of it. And the hydrogen was really what was being burned to make the buses run. The question is it possible to have desalination plants that are making distilled water that you need for electrolysis to make that whole process happen? Because it seems like the key ingredient for those buses was the distilled water.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I've not heard of that.
I've not heard of that.
It's not in the industry.
Yeah, I would be interested to learn more about that. And see what their process for making all that.
Because one of the major costs of running those buses is the distilled water.
Right. So that would be, and that's in AC Transit, you say?
Yeah, Chris, what was his last name? And he was president of AC Transit at one time, and is a real expert on hydrogen powered vehicles.
Yeah, I think that's, something yet to be, there's a scratching of that now. It's like thinking more outside the box, but with distilled water and the cost. I don't know if the desal would work in that kind of situation. I don't know. That's something I would love to, I will find out and let you know. Okay. That's a great question. It's all this stuff's happening and next. So these are the key takeaways. So additional water supplies are needed to accommodate the reliability of our water supply and growth. There's multiple portfolios, as you have seen, where we get our water, transfer it, wheel and deals, they call them. And then the new water supply reliability projects, and then the significant investments. And I also want to say that the water in the future is going to be us. And there's so much going on with water rights. So that's another whole big picture right now. If you ever get a chance, check out the Water Education Foundation.org. They have a plethora of information on water rights, because water rights is a whole complicated, 1914 before and after. And the layers of water rights are phenomenal in California. And we also have to be mindful. I just on this tour, and I'll close because I don't want to bore you guys anymore. It was interesting when we went down and we saw solar fields on fallow land. So that's what's being done. So if they follow the land, they're putting solar panels on it. And obviously it's generating, energy. And so that's a whole different thing too. That's good. But it looks ugly. I mean, to me, it's like, oh, wow, that's really beautiful. But we also have a lot of solar panels. We our facility at Del Valle. How much energy do we use on the solar panels? It pretty much runs most of our plant.
There's a significant portion of it.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but yes, a lot of it.
So, and then, solar panels and solar energy is a whole different than NEPA. I don't know if you guys are familiar with NEPA. NEPA is like 2.0 is that the folks who have solar panels get the credits. And now 3.0 is like, well, if you're after 3.0, you only get like a certain amount of credit, and it's really discounted the value of installing solar, because the providers weren't making enough. That's just my opinion.
Making enough money.
But anyway, so with that, I'd like to also, I have some buckets. We have some goodies for you guys to take home. There's a water chart back there. And rebates. We have rebates, lawn, if you want to convert your lawn. We have a wonderful rebate program. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I just had a question. So California has the new NGS science standards for like elementary through high school. And so I was just wondering, since this falls under that with climate change, environmental sustainability, have you partnered with school districts to like create lessons, field trips, or like interest engagement with students?
Alexander, yeah, that's her baby.
15 years now, very robust education program, so we actually have actually now pre-K through 12 lessons we teach. Highest year pre-pandemic was over 60 students a year. We've been struggling a little bit to get back to those numbers after the pandemic, and losing teachers have kind of moved on us, but it's starting to close out pretty close to those numbers. But all of our lessons are next gen science standards. And every year has a different topic, so we might talk about conservation, we might talk about the history of water in the valley, what shaped it, so we've got different lesson plans for them. They're all great, as long as the teacher is in the district, and now to our lesson plan, do we get a little take home and so teacher, and then we also participate in a lot of senior high as well. So
And science.
So,
Yeah, we're really having.
interesting.
I would like to know why zone 7 does not have a rebate for recirculating pumps. I have one on my water heater. And if I go to my shower, which is the far end of the house, turn it on full blast hot without that recirculating pump, it takes me a minute and 10 seconds to get hot water. So there's a lot of water. With the recirculating pump, I have an app on my phone. I turn it on within 15 seconds. I have hot water to all my faucets. It takes 5 seconds to get hot water in my shower. And it seems like that's a missed opportunity because you keep passing out buckets. That's so inconvenient. You know, I don't know what to do with all that water. And you know, a lot of people wouldn't. The trick, and they don't cost a lot, the pumps, a few $100s. The trick is you have to have a loop in your plumbing. So there is some plumbing that depends on your house, how much that involves. But it seems like that's a missed opportunity because a lot of people are not going to deal with the buckets and all that. I mean, it's just inconvenient.
Well,
So
I do want to say the people love our buckets.
oh, do they? They have gardens who have vegetable gardens.
Right.
So,
I use the buckets all the time, every day.
okay. I this is maybe a different subset of the population. But anyway, it just seems like something that people might want to suggest. And the other thing is, I would love to know how we convince people to get rid of the frickin' lawns. 25 years ago, I put
Do you have any water?
put 3/4 of my lot. I have an 8,000 square foot lot. I put 3/4 of it in drought tolerant. About a quarter of it was still lawn because my husband wouldn't get rid of it. And then 11 years ago, we got rid of the rest of our lawn, and my water usage went down 60%. And and we never had beautiful lush lawn. I mean, we weren't putting water on it every day, or even, you know. And so I don't think people understand how bad lawns are in terms of water usage. And I keep telling people, oh, I love my lawn, and I'm like, it's boring. I've got native plants and stuff that are blooming all the time. It's interesting. I
You can
and
even
the
plant.
plastic lawns, oh my God.
We have a couple of
For
those.
God's sake.
So Alexander, do you have any thoughts on lawn replacement? I mean, personally, I worked for the Water Conservation Department, the East Bay Mine for state years. And I've been in water conservation, you know, support the plants and landscapes for summer dry climates. That was my topic one of my projects. And I think, you know, I want to replace all the lawn in my front lawn, which has now happened because we have every kind of gopher in our lawn. They've all torn it up. So I'm like, yes. So maybe get a gopher, you know, plant.
Plant gophers around it.
Yeah, plant
And it is happening.
It is.
You see more and more lawns being taken out. Our lawn numbers go up every year, so it is
Yeah,
happening.
and I'm seeing people's carpet their front lawns with plastic.
Yeah, we don't, our rebates.
And I know you have to fix that, but I mean, I guess it seems like it's more education or something. And I just don't know.
It's an
Try.
ongoing.
If you follow our Facebook page, we're always putting on information about rebate program.
I'm not your audience. I've already done it all.
I mean, if you have friends and, they follow, rather than the message coming directly from us, if it comes from you, sometimes that's, that.
Teach kids, the kids are the best. I mean, you just feed those kids, and then they start bugging mom.
Yeah, I went to the native garden tour. I don't know. if you guys-
Yeah, we're a sponsor.
Yeah, that's right. I saw somebody new. And I was talking to some ladies, they left, and I was talking about, "Hey, wasn't this beautiful?" And everything. She said, "I really like one."
Yes, yeah.
So I'm all for transitioning away from lawns and into things like native gardens. I'm all for that. But I live in an HOA, a townhouse complex, which is full of very bad lawns. But it's all, do you, with the rebate program, do you have counseling and rebates for situations like that? 64 units full of lawns, all under an HOA.
Do we have? I know, he's talking about it.
On a lawn conversion project, we actually did a irrigation timer project. with HOAs. Would you repeat that? I'm not speaking an irrigation timer. So and they're weather-based timers, so the timers know if it's going to rain or if it's already rained. Some of them have temperature probe or soil probes, so they'll know how much water moisture is in the water. So I know we did a large project with one of the HOAs where we converted their old sprinkler timer to the smart timer.
Was that costly to the HOA?
The same rebate that we give, we like calculated what it was per person and, multiplied that by the number of units. So there was a cost to the HOA, just like there's a cost to anybody that does the lawn rebate.
But the
program.
water costs something too.
Right,
Right.
so, yeah,
They're offset.
so hopefully it offsets over time.
Yeah, and a native garden doesn't take as much maintenance.
Exactly,
You don't have somebody out there mowing it every week.
or not.
Well, or not. Yeah. I mean, and edging and blowing with the
Thank you.
leaf blowers and all that.
But encourage your HOA to check. There's a variety of different programs.
The 5 members are my next door neighbors.
See what they might want, if they're interested, have them look at their water bill first. And so water in an HOA can be pretty high. And so pass out buckets to your neighbors and say, if we had, use this water that you get, all your overage water, use it in your garden. But also look at your water bill and see what we can do to install native plants or drought tolerant plants. And what can we do to convert that and start small? And then you get them all like, oh, the water bill went down like $500. That's significant.
And possibly the gardener bill.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the gardener bill. And educate your gardener in that too.
Are there business cards backed by buckets?
Mhm.
Thank
We
you.
would be happy to. And that's what we're open for. And that's why Valerie and Alex are here. Not only to make sure I say it right, but also they're amazing staff and they are, I think Zone 7 is one of the most well-run agencies around. And I think, and as a board, we're very frugal. So we only raise the rates 5.5% this year. In Pleasanton, some people.
Yeah, Pleasant's doing its own water rate increase.
But I mean, it's like, we're frugal, we take on what we can do.
Yeah.
And we're like the little agency that came. I think, I can't say enough about the innovation and expertise and the openness to change and to be able to listen to what our customers.
I have one more question.
Can I first check real quick online and see if there's any questions
Oh, yeah.
online, because I have not been paying much attention to them. I apologize. Anybody have any questions online before we move to the last questions here in the room? Anybody? No, it sounds like doing great. So
Go ahead.
This is about your flood control checks, the arroyos. I'm a big bicycle advocate in Pleasanton. And we have, as you know, an agreement with Zone 7 to be able to use the access roads for trails. My issue is when we had a situation where we used to have asphalt and got so badly cracked, we had to take it out. And Zone 7 comes in and puts thick gravel on it, where a bicycle is not safe anymore. And I'm wondering if we could do
Just so you know-
smaller gravel.
Two things. First of all, I'm an avid cyclist. I cycle over 6,000 miles a year and I run on
Wow.
gravel. It's perfectly safe.
Well, I'm uncomfortable with gravel, and it depends on your bike.
But for Zone 7, I got a, 25 cc tire.
Oh, man, I got a 23.
Nice and smooth.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked a better one.
Right.
She's
But we do flood control. We do not do recreation.
No, I know, I understand.
So, we maintain our roads for flood maintenance purposes. If a city or park district, wants a license for us to be fully responsible for the O&M, it doesn't interfere with our operations we do.
Right.
That particular section of the trail, just the geology and the clay soils, it's
Yeah.
always going to go like this. Zone 7 had advised Pleasanton years ago that it was not a good candidate for asphalt.
Right.
Pleasanton put it in anyways, and when the asphalt
Yeah.
was,
Yeah,
horribly uneven, Pleasanton did not want to go through the cost again of
right.
doing the asphalt. So while Zone 7 did install the AV, that's what we call it.
Yeah.
We did it just because it was easier for us to do it, but it was Pleasanton's project and it's what they paid for.
And they paid for that,
Right.
I guess,
So if anybody
question-
wants any of these trails to be any different, they need to get the city or park district.
and I'm working on it.
You
I'm working on it.
go.
But what I'm saying is, can we put smaller weeks?
Pleasanton can,
They can do it,
if
but
they want to pay for it and be responsible for it.
are
it
the
does-
rocks more expensive or something? I mean, do they have to be so big?
You just ride slow and steady and don't make any sudden movements.
And then you meet somebody and you're in the tracks, you meet somebody, you get on there. I'm sorry,
That's fine. These are important questions. It's
It's
important.
comfortable for me, and a lot of other people I know too. So some people are fine with it. A lot of us aren't, so,
This is what it's all about.
yeah.
We're here to, protect and serve and protect.
I think that's like police and sheriffs, but that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
Any other
last
questions?
minute questions or how do folks that are online get those goodies? Should I take a couple of those for folks if they want to contact me? Anybody want a goodie? You should see the good stuff they brought.
Yeah, we'll leave some behind.
Okay,
We have plenty.
and I'll take them and we'll distribute them. If anybody wants them, I'll get it to you.
So any other questions? Otherwise, thank you so much. I want to thank Valerie and Alex as well.
Thanks all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
I'm just gonna readjust this camera again. Let's see. Okay. Thank you so much. What are we gonna do? The 2054 first, or did we already do that? We already did that. We're, okay, before we go on to the minutes, I do have the resolution, like I said, we already, I messed up, I apologize. I had on the agenda tonight to vote on the resolution against the recall of Pamela Price. When I was prepping for this meeting, I discovered we already passed that in October. So we already passed that resolution. I'm just going to share the Google Doc again with members. I'll put it in the chat. But we did already pass that, so there's no need to do that again. However, just a quick update of where the recall is. It went to the board of directors as far as the timing, if it was going to be a special election. And the board of directors decided that it's going to be on the general election. So that will be on the November, and the reason, some of the reasons they cited, obviously the cost. If they did a special election, it was going to cost up to $20 million. Whereas if they package it with an existing general election, that cost is about, I think, 4 million. Still costly for the recall, but not as expensive as a special election. And I also wanted to share with you a letter from the Honorable Igor Triget, our chair of the Alameda County Central Committee. And he sent a letter to all clubs, and I just want to reiterate this. In case you missed it, in a resounding display of solidarity, on August 3rd, 2023, the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee passed a resolution firmly opposing the recall efforts aimed at the newly elected Democratic District Attorney Pamela Price. During her campaign, DA Price pledged to restore public trust in the criminal justice system, ensure public safety, and tackle racial, socioeconomic, and gender disparities within the county's criminal justice system. The resolution recognizes that these ambitious objectives require time to come to fruition and should not be prematurely judged within such a short period. And remember, this recall was started almost just a couple months after she went into office. So, you know, this goes back. In addition to expressing our opposition, the county's Democratic Party pledges its unwavering support to the campaign aimed at halting any potential recall of DA Price. The committee will actively provide resources and assistance to educational and electoral efforts focused on safeguarding the democratic process and preserving the integrity of the office. And with that, we do not have to vote on this because we already have, but again, we will post that on our website to let everybody know that we had already endorsed that resolution.
Jackie, I have a question
Yes,
related to this.
yes,
You remember when Ray Davis faced a recall? In fact, he was recalled, but in the same exact election on the ballot was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Cruz Bustamante, amongst others, running for governor. And that's how he wound up with Arnold Schwarzenegger as governor. So the question is, on the November ballot, aside from the question of should Pamela Price be removed from office or not, will there be candidates to replace her should she be replaced, you know, if she loses the first vote?
if she is to lose in this, if she was to be recalled, the board of directors will assign her replacement.
The Board of Supervisors.
Board of Supervisors, excuse me, the Board of Supervisors. So
So they
Base-
just appoint another DA?
I assume they would appoint her replacement if that's the case. And it's not a very democratic process. Pam Price did win in the general election by, I
Yeah,
think,
but-
58%.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Not speaking against Pamela.
Yeah,
It's an academic question. You know, is there going to be somebody else on the ballot?
Not in this ballot. No, not in November. It would be just the recall question, and then the replacement would be up to the board, and that would then until the next election for DA. That person would be seated.
Thank you.
So that's where we're at. I did send, as a part of the meeting agenda out, I did send a link to a video from the Wellstone Club. There was a really good progressive DA forum that included Pamela Price as well as Jessa Boudin from San Francisco after he got recalled. And so I did share that with our members. It's a good video if you want to watch it. But we don't need to vote on that tonight. And I'm gonna go ahead and then turn this over to Ellis, who is going to go through the approval of the April 15 minutes, and I'll post that up on the screen here for you.
I actually added some stuff to the one on the screen, and I'll be giving Jackie the updated one. The April 15th minutes, meeting is on our YouTube channel, and you can watch it and get the details and like that. Jackie opened the meeting by introducing Jerry McNerney, who is running for the Senate out here in the Tri-Valley. She pointed out that Jerry pointed out that he got 33% in the primary, while Carlos Villaputa got 22%, and Jim Schumacher, the Republican, got about 46%. Jerry thanked Kyoko Takamura for her help in organizing his campaign, and he asked for the club's help in the upcoming election. Next, I introduced the resolution that we spoke of earlier tonight for both Assembly Bill 1999 and 2054. Then we heard from Mark Toomey, who's from Turn, which is a PUC watchdog group. And he spoke about how our bills are calculated and how the California PUC works. The club debated and discussed the two bills. At the end of the debate, Greg Bernardo over there, our IBEW 595 host, said that IBEW opposed AB 1999 because those taxpayers, ratepayers who do not have residential solar would be subsidized by those who don't have residential solar. The club agreed with the IBEW, and AB 1999 endorsement was voted down. However, AB 2054, which I explained earlier in this meeting, was endorsed. The bottom line is that 1999 said that the maintenance fee on our PUC bill would be capped at $10, and that probably wouldn't cover it. So the additional money for maintenance would come out of the kilowatt per hour price that ratepayers pay. And those of us with solar panels are not subject to that rate because we get our kilowatts from our roof. So that's that. Then Kyoko spoke about the various programs that she's involved in and gave out postcards, stamps, and mail lists to go into a Georgia election on May 21st. And at least I picked up some postcards and mailed them out and spent a couple of hours. It took me 2 hours to write out 40 postcards. But I felt that that could have an impact because these are handwritten postcards going out to voters. It's just not more junk mail that we all get.
Stickers.
Alan Nakashira, our treasurer, reported we took in $50 in membership. We had expenses of $302.96, which included paying for our Zoom account over here. And the beginning of the month's balance was $26.96.40. And at the end of the month, it's $21.41.44. Jackie announced again candidate training, and I believe she spoke about that tonight, offered by the Central Committee. And also that we need a representative on the Central Committee. Pete Alpert from SEIU spoke about an opening on the board of directors due to Director McPartland resigning. Melissa Hernandez, a club member and the mayor of
Dublin is going to run for that seat in November, but she has a day job, mayor of Dublin, and something else also. And may not run to fill McPartland's seat from now until the end of the year. And Pete was concerned that there may be an anti-union candidate that's put into this temporary situation. And he said we should look for somebody to fill that position. I don't know of anybody to fill that position or if Pete had any luck. Okay, what else? July 2nd, there'll be a school board election to recall the Sunol school board. I made a motion to donate for the recall, and it was tabled until this month. So where'd Jackie go? Oh, I'm sorry, you're my blind spot. So I think that since it was tabled, the amount was about $200 I was considering.
I think for the school, for the recall. Yeah, I think there is a donation site. We can make a donation. I was just trying to think of where that money would go, but there is on their website a place to donate.
Let's see.
So you want to make a motion
4,
to,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we have a quorum. We have people online also. Yes, I move that we donate $200 toward the recall effort at Sunol Glen School Board.
I second that.
Okay, and do I see any objections to that? Any objections online? On Zoom? Seeing no objection, I guess that passed. What else? Jackie updated on the recall of Pamela Price, which she just did a moment ago. And then she thanked IBW 595 for allowing us to meet here, and let me do that again. Thank you, Greg, and thank you to the union. And then the meeting was adjourned. Any corrections, discrepancies? Didn't like what I said? Anything? Okay, not seeing any, I guess, the minutes are accepted.
Thank you. Couple things I missed on the agenda. I need to swing back before Alan gives, but you'll be up next, Alan, so you get ready. Okay, first off, Ellis mentioned that we did have members do postcards for Georgia, working with the Swing Left folks. So we were working with some of our partners. I want to thank the Honorable Kashep Quadri, Kathleen Rowe, Allison Brick Aldergott, and Ellis and Sharon Goldberg for working on those postcards. And of course, our friends from Livermore Indivisible that has been doing all kinds of amazing work over there. I know you guys are doing postcards as well and working with Swing Left. So
Mary just did a whole bunch.
and Mary, oh, Mary. I didn't know you grabbed a packet last time.
I already had a packet before I came,
All right.
and I got another packet after I left.
Are those for Georgia or those for
You know,
North
the
Carolina?
addresses are home, but I believe they are Georgia.
Okay, because I think you might want to check with Kyoko, because I think the Georgia one was through, they wanted them all
Those got-
mailed.
those got sent.
Okay,
I honestly, I don't remember where it goes. I do know it has to go out real soon.
so we checked in to see how they're doing with stamps and they're still looking good. I want to thank everybody again for working on those postcards. Yeah, there still is another round coming up. I believe that is with, was it Indivisible or with Swing Left? But they're going to be doing some North Carolina postcarding. Yes.
I think there's gonna be, I should check my planner, but there's gonna be a postcard party on, is it the 14th? at the Livermore Public Library in the community rooms. And that's becoming a regular thing.
Okay, if you'll send me the details, I will forward it to all club members with our next communication.
Yeah.
Make sure we get that out.
I will get that to you. The other thing, I have another announcement when you're done.
Okay, we'll get to announcements at the end. I want to finish up with our treasurer report. And then I have, if you guys notice, if you're here in the room, there's a table in the back that has a bunch of goodies and an image from the Tri-Valley UDC. The UDC is that arm of the Democratic Party that does some fundraising. I'm happen to be the chair of the Tri-Valley UDC temporarily. I took over for Angela Ramirez Holmes. She moved out of the area. So I'm new at this. So I will be asking our club members to help me with some volunteer. If you want to volunteer to help with the UDC, we're going to have a picnic, a fundraising picnic coming up. Save the date, July 28th, and it's going to be in Pleasanton. And
The 22nd.
the 28th is for the UDC picnic. The 22nd is, we have some announcement for Jerry McNerney's campaign. And we have Madhu here who's going to come up and share some of those, and I'll share with you guys the images as she speaks about those. So actually, why don't we have Madhu come up real quick? And while you give a quick update, I will share the links to.
Awesome. So are the images gonna be up here?
Yeah, let me get these up here. Steal a pen on you. Let me get some. It just says something I have to write down. I lied. I have them all up, but as I move through this, I start messing up and closing stuff, so bear with me here.
No worries. Should I just get started?
Yeah, go ahead, get started. I'll
Okay.
find this.
So just some updates from the Jerry campaign. We have our kickoff canvas June 1st on that Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. at Paso Tempo Park in Dublin. So we'll have pizza and water and probably soda. And so it's just going to be our fun kickoff for the summer and to get everyone mobilized for the November election. We also are taking part in the Livermore Rodeo Parade. That's
the right image.
That's coming up on
That's
Saturday.
what I was going to.
June 8th, yes, and so we're looking for folks to walk with us. So on the flyer, and I can also maybe send Jackie an email that she could forward to you guys.
And Kyoko just sent an email out to Indivisible about 3 hours ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
With an attachment for the flyer for the rodeo parade.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, there should be a way to RSVP there. And yeah, just it just asks you to put your name, your email, your phone number, and we'll reach out to you about how you can get involved with that. And then on Saturday, June 22nd, we're having a birthday party for Jerry. That's gonna be at the Amador Recreation Center. So just it's gonna be from I believe 12:30 to 3:30. So just stop by and have a good time.
Here's the difference. Can you send this all out to us?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
please-
actually, I did send it with the meeting notification yesterday. I sent these all out. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time sharing my screen properly. Let me try this again.
You send that to me again. Are you actually doing canvassing?
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that flyer.
June 1st.
That flyer I put on the back table. That one. That was.
Where's the canvassing?
Paso Tempo Park in Dublin.
Okay.
Where's the June 1st thing?
Paso Tempo Park in Dublin.
So we have June 1st. This is going to be canvassing. Awesome. Okay, Sherry. So I did send this out to all club members. I apologize about my sharing. So we have June 1st, we have canvassing and the kickoff event. Then the Livermore Rodeo Parade. We want to, when you click on this, you'll go to a link that will have a form you can fill out. And by the way, my husband will be driving Jerry in the parade in a 1942 Packard.
Wow.
So come and march with us. If somebody has serious problem walking, there may be space in the back seat for a couple people, but Dawn and Jerry will be in the front seat.
Was that the car that Van Rainey was dressed up like FDR with the cigar?
Yes. The Packard was one of the last cars that rolled off the assembly line before Packard started making airplane engines for World War II.
Van Rainey should dress up again and sit with them.
Yeah, it was like FDR. It was really.
And so, could you send us a PDF version of this?
Yes, I will.
Wonder the link works.
Yeah, I will. I apologize that the sharing isn't working too well here. But I did send all these images with all the links out to club members.
Thank you so much. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
We're so thrilled to be having to.
But yeah, and please let me know if you have any questions or
Thank you.
involved. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And now is our treasurer. Alan?
Just, excuse me, but I've got the date for the postcard party. It is sooner than I thought. It is Sunday, May 26th at the Livermore Civic Center Library. At 1:30.
Perfect.
Say that again. Didn't have it again.
Okay, May 26th, Livermore Civic Center Library, community rooms, 1:30. And this is the postcarding with Livermore Indivisible. And don't ask me which state.
It's okay.
I think you're doing North Carolina next, I believe.
Hey, this last month, we had an income of $110 in dues. Our total expenses for the month were $3.09. The fee for the for people using the Square to online, which gave us a net income of $106.91, leaving us a beginning balance of $2441.44 and a net ending balance of $2,548.35. This compares, it's just funny, to a year ago, year to date, we had a total income of $766.34. This year, we're at $804.70. So if nothing else, we are consistent. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Another.
Yes.
So at Jerry's birthday party, we have one of the members that's gonna be playing for us. And Ron Morris.
Oh,
Very well.
all right.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're
I'm gonna
welcome.
have to miss that one. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be in Santa Cruz that week, and that's the only thing I'm gonna miss. So take some videos for me, Ron. Have one of your bandmates take some videos for us.
I will. I'll shoot the whole thing. And if you want us to volunteer for the UDC TVDC one, we'll do that too.
Okay, we're just getting going on the planning on that. We'll let you know what's going on. I'm not sure if we're gonna try to have a lot of speakers this year.
Right. Okay, so we can provide the PA and there'll be no charge for the band this year.
Okay, Ron, thank you.
All right, sorry I couldn't make the meeting. I just finished my car repair. The radiator now works.
Yay.
Right. All right. Just some, let's see. Any new business? Again, I want to make the announcement that next month will be local candidate endorsements. We did have a brief introduction for Pleasanton School Board tonight, but we're going to be doing the full trying to hunt down anybody that is running that is a Democrat and giving them the opportunities. So look for those. If you know people that are running, Christy, that want to get endorsements, we want to hear from you and we want to have you in front of the club. And anybody that wants us to share your events, let me know. I will share them with the club.
So where would the meeting be?
Next
It's
month, the
live.
meeting? Well, we'll be doing Zoom. And I
Okay, so
think
the candidates will all be on Zoom.
we'll all be on Zoom next month. I'm not sure about July, if we can find a place that I can manage my computer and the projector at the same time in a meeting. I've been missing Richard, he usually helps me out with the technical aspects.
Where is he?
Where is Richard? Richard is working for Joe Biden.
Oh. Oh.
He's working for a little guy named Joe Biden, and he's in Delaware right now doing a lot of the back end office, fundraising and all of the things that he used to help me with. He's helping the president with.
Well, that's almost as important.
Almost as important, but I do miss Richard and I hope he comes home very soon. So, well, at the end of the campaign is a success. So,
Yay.
and then if you want any of the items in the back, I did do a little pop-up store tonight. If you point your camera at the little QR code, it will take you the TV UDC. For those of you online, I'll share it. I'll send out an email with that information. You can buy t-shirts like the one I'm wearing. All of the 2020 stuff is on super discount. It's almost free. We got some great bumper stickers like Nasty Women. Remember that? Great bumper stickers, buttons, t-shirts, Vote Democrat. Take a look back there. For those of you online, if you want to buy stuff, just send me a note. rankleJackie@gmail.com. And I'll get you these items. And it benefits the Tri-Valley UDC, the UDC helps get Democrats elected in the Tri-Valley area. So if you're interested, all those items are back there. And in closing, I have some very sad news. I'm going to have Ellis come up. He knew Gordon a lot better than most of us. I've met Gordon Miller during Bernie Sanders rallies and events. And unfortunately, we have some very sad news about a dear friend of the club, Gordon Miller.
Thank you, Jackie. Those of you who don't know Gordon Miller, in a lot of ways, he was my partner in crime. Not that my wife Sharon isn't. Jackie said she met Gordon during the Bernie campaign. Gordon and I convened the caucus that elected the Bernie Sanders delegates to the national convention. We did that in Rossmore in 2016. We held a rally in San Francisco with over 300 people commemorating Citizens United. It was called Morning in America, Morning for Democracy, Morning with a U. Gordon was heavily involved in politics, and needless to say, we did a lot of things with him. I learned something from this, and it's something that maybe if you don't know Gordon, doesn't matter, I'll pass it on to you. The circumstances of Gordon passing away was that he was manning a booth on Earth Day in Walnut Creek at Civic Park near the gazebo. I'm sure that most of you, not all of you, have been there. And he was tearing down the booth with another gentleman and went back to get a box that they had left there and didn't return. And the other gentleman went to look for him and didn't find him. Next thing we know, apparently an ambulance took him to John Muir Hospital, which is just literally down the street from that park. Apparently he had fallen on the back of his head and cracked his skull. And they had to cut his skull open to relieve the pressure on his brain. His brother came up and he spent 2 weeks at John Muir Hospital. And this is what I want to talk to you about. His brother had a conversation with him a few months earlier. And frankly, I encouraged Gordon to have this conversation about what happens when he goes, because Gordon wasn't married, didn't have any children, had lots of close friends, and it was just his brother, who's a few years older than him. Gordon was 75, his brother's 80. And I saw his brother agonizing for a week at John Muir Hospital as to whether to detach Gordon from the machinery. He had a tube down his throat and he could barely squeeze his hand. Eloise Hammond, she said he squeezed her hand. Brody Hope said she saw him wiggle his toe. But his brother was torn by this. But luckily, they had had this conversation a month or two earlier and decided that if he's in such a situation, and apparently their father was at some point, where he'd maybe be alive, but have the tubes down his throat and be connected to a bunch of equipment and couldn't eat. He was taking in substance intravenously, that he should pull the plug. The lesson to all of us is this can happen to anybody at any time. There are people you love. Don't leave them with a guilt trip. Tell them what you want them to do and find out what they want you to do if the shoe is on the other foot. But have that conversation. It's a very important conversation. And think about not having that conversation and you having to make a decision of that type. Don't put it on their shoulders. That's what I have to say. And unfortunately, we learned from some of these things. I'll miss Gordon. He was on our Zoom call every Friday. Used to be coffee at Panera's, and then it was coffee on Zoom. Alan back there is part of it. My wife Sharon, myself, Eloise Hammond, Rick Adler, who was just elected to the to be a delegate to the DNC, was part of that also. And Joe Ely, our former treasurer, who moved
We
out.
lost our sound. We lost
And-
our sound.
You lost your sound. Sorry about that, Ron. I don't know what to
Okay.
do about that. Is it back?
All right, it's back. Thanks.
Okay, with that, I think we should adjourn the meeting. And
Can I say something
it's just
about
a bit of a
Gordon?
joker. And I'll pass on the last joke that he told me. I hope no ladies are offended. This is what he said to me. No, Mary, take your fingers out of you.
You can handle it now.
He said, if a man speaks and a woman doesn't hear him, is he still wrong?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. We know the answer.
Sharon, help me on the answer. Anyway, thank you all.
Can I say-
Yes,
Ron wanted to say something.
go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, Gordon was a wonderful spirit. Gordon was generous and humble. I knew him for about 10 years, and it was based on a variety of campaigns, maybe most so with the Bernie campaign. But he was a great humorist also, although not really outgoing. His brother that I've spoken to and offered my help to in terms of finances and helping him move and detailing the condominium. He's trying to decide what to do in terms of whether to sell Gordon's condominium or actually upgrade it and move in himself. He's living in Southern California now. So he's in better shape. The brother is now. And Ellis and I are available to help him. So brother is getting through at age 80. Also very loquacious, as was Gordon. The progressive community is going to miss Gordon and his humor. When we were on street corners and singing up songs at various gatherings to protest things, Gordon was there singing along with me. And he would write alternate lyrics for some of these old songs that were critical of Trump and McConnell and a few other people. And those I have and will continue to use in our political presentations and singing. So the community will miss Gordon in a variety of ways, both for his humor, his humility, his generosity, and just a good old fellow. So that's all I wanted to say about Gordon. He was a worthwhile guy, for many years a member of this club, and a member of other clubs, a guiding light for progressives in the area.
Thank you, Ron. I apologize again about my sharing of the imagery. I did send it out yesterday, and I promise I will send out all the information about the Jerry events and the event that Mary shared. May I share your kickoff event as well for?
Of course.
Yeah.
Say that about.
I will share your kickoff event. We look forward to hearing from you next month and hopefully do an endorsement. Is there anything else before we adjourn the meeting? Anyone? Okay, that's all I have. Meeting adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody. Night, Mary.
Night, job boys.
There you go.